Hey everyone, I hope you enjoy this insightful morning drive I did with CEO of Banyan Gold. As you all know, people invest in people, so it's very important to get to know the individuals that are running these companies. If you do enjoy this video or you want to know more about Banyan Gold, please register for the webinar that's happening on April 18th at 7 p.m. The registration link will be in the description below in this video. Awesome, take care, enjoy. Tara Christie.
Good to see you again.
I just picked you up from your house.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been pretty much a year since we first met. And we're going to get a little bit of an update on what you've been up to personally. And we have a webinar that we're going to do. We don't have a date yet, so stay tuned for that. But it's supposed to snow tomorrow, and like 22 centimeters or something.
And it's Vancouver.
Yeah, so that's that could cause some issues. You want to go for a little morning drive?
Let's go for a morning drive.
All right.
Beautiful day for it.
It is a beautiful day. Okay, so I've got my whole family here.
Awesome.
And
Vancouver's a great city for kids. There's so much to do.
Yeah, I've been here I think 6 or 7 times now, and I thought, okay, you know what? I got to bring the kids out. So where should I take them?
Well, I love Science World,
Okay.
because it's got stuff for small kids right through the older. Like for your 3-year-old, there's like a fancy climbing ballroom, and then there's a whole bunch of venues for the older kids, which is great. The older kids might also really like going to like clip and climb, the climbing wall.
Clip and climb.
That's always fun. I don't know if you do that, but it's
They haven't done it yet.
it's fun. I've even got into it. It's super good exercise. Yes, you find muscles that you didn't even know you hadn't used in a while.
Yeah. So I think last time I asked you what you did to kind of unwind. But do you want to just kind of bring us up to speed? Have you got any new hobbies or what's going on?
We ski, and skiing hasn't been great here this year, so trip to Whistler is always fun too.
Right.
But that is a great thing that we do as a family.
Yeah.
And we do we just got a puppy this last year, so we do
Right.
lots of walks, and we're doing dog training all together, which is, it's important that we actually train this dog because we travel a lot, so
Yeah.
this dog has to be able to go lots of places with us. So that's been a big priority over the last, it's 9 months we've had him now, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. And then just things like, getting out for doing some swimming and sports, and I like going to clip and climb.
Yeah.
That's
So that's like
fun.
something you have a membership at.
You can just buy day passes. You don't need a membership. You can if you want, but it's far enough away for us that I gotta drive. So
And where is it?
it's out in Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might go to Costco in Richmond after this, actually.
Oh gosh, I haven't been to Costco in like a year and a half. I did one online order, but I find that, I just don't need that much stuff these days, and it's so big, bulky stuff that, yeah.
I went to the Costco in Burnaby.
Yeah.
And I walked out. I looked at my wife. I said, "Do you want to abort this mission?" She's like,
Just,
"Oh,
yes.
I'm so glad you said that," because like at home, Costco is Costco, but it's not like Costco out here.
Yeah.
Like it was
It's
the line
competitive shopping.
Oh my God, the lineups were already all the way to the back of the meat section, and I thought, no, like this doesn't seem like a value of our time.
You save $5 though on the meat. Maybe 10.
It's true, maybe 10. Yeah, hey, there's some pretty cool people you can follow these days that do all these Costco like short videos, and they nail it. They do it on a weekly basis, and they give you the best deals, and it's pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So grouse.
I haven't
What?
followed those ones.
Oh, okay.
The Costco shoppers.
Yeah,
So, yeah, go ahead.
it's
Grouse?
like a new thing. Grouse Mountain.
Yes.
So you said you go to Whistler. What's wrong with Grouse Mountain? Like it's a little closer, but not the same.
No, just lately it's been Whistler. I used to go to Grouse and Cypress and Seymour.
Okay.
Cypress I like quite a bit, and Grouse is, it's got great views, beautiful place. But
Yeah.
right now it's Whistler. We kind of in COVID we kind of found a little retreat there, and it's the place where we can really relax. So being in the city, with
Yeah.
COVID, working at home, I don't know how other people find it, but I find at home I tend to have a harder time relaxing now since COVID because it's a workplace.
It is, yeah. So how many days a week would you say you work from home versus go to an office, or do you still have an office? Like,
I have an office, but I have a pretty small team, and we've got quite a remote work. Everyone lives in different places. Like one person in Whitehorse, one in Lethbridge, one on the island, and then me, and one in Calgary. So and I will have one more person in the office here. So I really try to schedule my meetings so I have all my in-person stuff on 1 or 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And then there's all these conferences. Like this weekend, we have a 5-day run or 6-day run of conferences, which is...
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and you're away a lot then. And there's so much travel in this business to go see shareholders, which, is international, or that it's not really practical to plan to be in the office. And
yeah.
Our team is really effective remote. I know some aren't, but that's part of building it's a different culture, certainly, than being in an office.
So what are you doing, like Google Meets or Zoom?
We do all of them because there's so many platforms that people like. Internally, we mostly use Zoom and Google Meet. A lot of external people, though, use Teams. So.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned there's a lot of travel to go see various shareholders and, of course, trying to get new ones. Like, what does your year look like for traveling to these conferences or to see shareholders? Like, can you kind of map it out, what you know about right now?
So, January is when there's a big, in our sector, there's a big amount of conferences right here in Vancouver. There's kind of a newslettery one, and then there's an investor one, and then there's the real geology-focused one, which is super exciting because you get all the people in your sector together, and it's quite technical.
Right.
Some of it.
Which one's
That's
that?
the AMBC Roundup one.
Roundup,
it's less investors, more technical geology. And then, the other conferences such as, BMO and PDAC, so, United States, Toronto, and then a lot of people do a European tour. I might not do European in the spring here yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. Usually kind of go to New York, try a few different venues through the year, like try going to someplace you haven't gone before. And then September, there's a couple big conferences that everybody goes to that's in our sector.
Like Beaver
Creek in the States, followed by the Denver Gold Show for the larger companies.
Yeah.
And then Europe, and then sometimes there's a couple trips to Europe depending on which shows you decide to go to. There's a never-ending list of conferences because there's always there's new investors to meet all over. So sometimes we do targeted road shows where, you set up lunches and meetings throughout the day where you go to the investors.
Right.
It really varies. You try to do new things because you can't do the same old thing.
Yeah, you got to keep trying. The targeted road shows, was that more of a thing that you did like pre-COVID?
It was really big pre-COVID. Yeah, there were a lot of companies that did that. There's a lot that offer virtual road shows now, which aren't quite. I'm doing one actually later this week. Some really good meetings that are set up, and I think after COVID, it really has been shown that virtual meetings can be effective, but you lose that personal touch.
I know.
It's kind of a mix.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end up in the middle somewhere.
I think so too. Like even with my company, like at the very beginning of COVID, we switched very quickly to virtual. We had a virtual conference set up. We did very well. And then I thought everybody was getting webinared out. Like it just kind of felt like, oh, another webinar, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID's behind us now, and clients are asking for us to bring it back because, well, they like certain parts of that. But yes, you don't have the same in-person thing. So, but it does seem like you have to do both now.
It is. But, people also respect that people have families. I have a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And she actually told me recently, she's like, Mom, can you work less? Because, I actually want to spend time with you now. And when I'm a teenager,
right,
I'm not going to want you around. So I think you need to make time now. And I'm like, oh, that's a little, all right, maybe I'm a little too busy. So, so it is a balance, too. I do think about that. It's not only the cost of the travel, it's the time. And I think we're probably more cognizant of that post-COVID.
Sure.
Because there's a whole bunch of, before it was nothing. Yep, they want me to come meet them in New York. I'm off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but now, exactly. I think there's been a new value add. People have had time to reflect on, work-life balance. And then you get to and now if you can scale yourself more at home, you get that quality time with your family, but you just have to make sure that you're being effective with your time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Where are we going to go to next here? What's your favorite conference? Like, I mean, it kind of seemed like you have a soft spot for the technical one, right?
Yeah.
Especially with your background.
It has always been the one that makes you excited about getting back out in the field in the spring. And so, you're inspired by your results. We just put out some results from last year. We're thinking about what we're going to do, and you go to those ones. The investor ones more are talking about the same thing about the company. We're strategically positioned because we've got this great resource infrastructure. You talk about those same things, whereas some of the technical conferences are a bit more intellectually challenging on new things.
Yeah.
And I get asked lots of hard questions from investors as well, but they're ones that are less about learning new things, and I love to learn new things. I do love that the PDAC is also very technical. It's less investment. In terms of investor ones, Beaver Creek and BMO are the two that are, they're fun. And you're seeing friends as well.
Industry friends.
Industry friends, yeah.
And BMO, is that one in Florida?
It's from Florida. We take our daughter, and she has a friend group. So, our business is different. Like the hours are different, the schedules, the travel, what we do. We're builders. We take things, pieces of property, and we build value. And so our kids kind of think a little bit different. So I like her to get together with other kids in the sector so they can see that there's families that have our lifestyle. So she's got a little girl gang there's 9 girls with between kind of the ages of 9 and 14, all with parents in this business. And
no way.
I think that's it's.
So how did that start? That's pretty cool.
Well, she went to those conferences because I used to just go as my husband's spouse, and when our daughter was a baby, she was there when she was 8-9 months old, and then has gone every year with us. So you build up friendship with the other parents, and then as they start to play together, they become friends. And she's still Facebook, so she's got one in Montreal and some in other parts of the world. So one here, one even goes to her school. That's she's in a different grade, but
that's super cool.
I think those are important friendships. And then like our good friends also have kids, and so even though they're different ages, we try to get them together so that they can relate.
And how old's your daughter?
10.
So you think that she's going to be in the mining industry, or she's obviously still so young, right?
Yeah. So I want her to do what makes her happy.
Yeah.
And that's easy to say, but she's got lots of talent. She's super smart.
Yeah.
She's very, very creative and very musical. She builds all like her craft. She's got that from her grandmother. She's got the music from her dad.
Nice.
Those aren't my skill sets, but it's we'll see where she goes. She talks about being a vet because she loves animals, and if it's like me, I was all over the map. I thought I was going to be a doctor when I went to university.
Yeah.
It's totally. I went there thinking I was going to go do biomedical engineering and then go to med school, and that didn't happen. I got there the first year. I'm like, yep, that's not for me.
Well, speaking of university, we're actually pretty much close to the
UBC, yeah.
UBC. Is that where you went to university?
This is where I did both my bachelor's and my master's. The geology building's just through over there.
Okay.
And in the engineering buildings.
Yeah.
But then, I went back and forth. This campus is huge. And,
it is
math
big.
and English down there, and then engineering down there. So you used to that's how they give you really good exercise. You got the 7 minutes.
Sure.
Because you have to sit so much.
Well, I brought my family down here the other day, and actually there's one of these trees here. There was an eagle right at the top, and we pulled over. Actually, it was that one right there. And we pulled over, and then we took some nice pictures there. But this is such a great spot right on the coast.
Oh, and the beach down there, lots of places to walk. There's a nice, the UBC endowment lands are here.
Yeah.
They're great trails to go walking in. I used to go with the dog I had when I was at university here. I used to walk, every day. That forced me to walk if you have a dog. But it's great campus. Okay,
so you won an award. I think it was towards the end of 2023 or in the very, very beginning of 2024. So sorry, I don't remember exactly when. But can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, it was largely for all the philanthropic stuff that I've done in the Yukon, and particularly Every Student Every Day, which is a charity I started over 12 years ago. 100% volunteer. I've been working with schools and First Nations. With this year's funding, we will have given out $2.2 million. And, the cash component, and the issue we're trying to address is all the social and economic issues that affect attendance and ultimately graduation for students in the Yukon. And in North America, attendance rates are abysmal. And COVID, they've become even worse. Things like anxiety and others have really exacerbated the problem of attendance that we have in North America. Mm-hmm. Really focused on the Yukon because I'm so passionate about it.
Right.
We've been working on this and working closely with communities, and the real success of the program that we're running is that we provide funding and a recipe of things that work, and communities and schools have to decide how they spend the money, and that really results in there being champions who step up and design projects for their specific kids, and who knows those kids better but the people in the community. So
Right.
we're really pleased with the results that we're seeing. So that's what the award was about. And what I really say is, thank you to all the people that got behind us to help and contributed to that, because it takes a community. And, all the people that sponsored, the people that go, hey, I know so-and-so's not in school and they're at home over there, and
Right.
maybe their car's broken down, or, some families, the socioeconomic situation right now is pretty challenging. So, we have a whole range of projects that we've run or been helped to fund to run, and so that's what it recognized. And it's not all about me, it's really about the starting to address this problem, ultimately getting better futures for kids in these small communities.
For the next generation. So without getting too much into Banyan, because we really are inviting people here to have a full overview of Banyan and your tenure with it,
Yep.
with the company, and all you've accomplished, and there's been a lot. And also I don't want to get into too much of macroeconomics, but let's talk a little bit about how you see life post-pandemic. Inflation's here. It kind of ties into the price of gold, and of
Absolutely,
course,
and interest rates. Yeah,
that's right. So, what are you seeing? Like, you live in Vancouver. It's beautiful here, but what's life been like now? Over a year, just outside of the pandemic. What are you seeing?
Oh, certainly inflation in food prices, housing, that's, and you see the impact on communities, and even in real estate. Real estate hasn't come down in Vancouver because there's such a Canadian housing shortage.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is, but we are faced with a lot of higher costs. And, I actually think we're going to see another uptick in inflation here, because people had a lot of wage increases come into effect in Canada January 1st, and so people have a little bit more money. So, I think we'll see a little wave, and then I think we'll see interest rates come off as the governments go, oh no, we've done too much.
Right.
People, there are some families which, are pretty desperate given where they, over leveraged.
Yeah.
So I do think long term it'll be good for the price of gold. I'm not it's going to the moon instantly believer. I think it will be over time. But we've also seen that the big companies haven't replaced their reserves, both in gold and other metals. Like, if we truly want to electrify, we are so short copper and other metals that it has to change. And if you can't build another copper project until the copper price is higher because of the copper, there's no choice but for prices to go higher eventually. Same with gold. If we can't produce gold at the price of gold with a reasonable margin, there might be a time you don't build more projects, and then there'll be a real need for the projects to get built.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a lag in the system too, with how long it takes to build a mine or
and
fire up a
permitting,
mine.
yeah, and other issues like security of tenure in other places. And pre-pandemic, could we have imagined this? No.
Yeah.
I became the CEO in 2016. There aren't a lot of female CEOs.
Yep.
And it was a 5 million market cap company. I was a relative nobody. It was very hard to get people to help finance. I had to learn how to do financing, the whole capital markets piece of it.
Yeah.
And then through the pandemic, actually, we grew. We went, we're now a 100 million market cap company from 2020 to 2023. That's a very significant growth.
It's a huge increase.
And even at that, I think we're undervalued with the price of gold.
Right.
And we were blessed with geology. Geology is a wild card. You'd never know what Mother Earth has given you till you actually get some drill results and understand it. But I think there's a lot to learn from how do you build a company, and I've learned a lot. What would I do differently? Hopefully I remember that when the next company comes along.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something interesting. You said that you think we're going to have more inflation.
Yep.
Right? So not a lot of people see it that way, by the way. And I'm with you. I think that we're going to see rates decrease because there's going to be a lot of trouble in the economy.
Yep.
Right? Potentially. Like, for example, right now, and I think in a couple business days from today, so January 18th, small businesses that got that loan from the government,
loan,
they have to pay it back, or they start paying interest and then they have to pay the whole $60,000 back. That's going to That's going to expose a lot of things.
Yep.
I know banks are offering new loans on that,
Yep.
but it's like 10% interest. So 3.5% above prime. Prime
Wow.
is 7%. That's not a little bit amount of money. Like, that's a lot, right?
That's a lot, yeah. And how does
especially-
a business that can't pay it back,
Exactly.
that couldn't find a way to get a loan so they didn't have to pay the full 60, that's
Yep.
that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, but I still think that there's going to be a lot of more inflation because of how governments traditionally respond to these things. And then you have elections coming, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are the elections in 2025? Like federal?
Officially, yeah.
Okay.
So
It could happen before
but I
that,
think the
but-
U.S. elections are going to have an impact worldwide. you know,
Absolutely.
having this whole
Yeah.
Trump, Biden, and yeah, it'll be interesting.
So now I'm in Vancouver, which is traditionally more of a liberal place, yeah, NDP liberal, right? And then Toronto still, I think the GTA area voted in Justin on a percentage basis, but and not to get into, I'm
Politics?
not getting into that, but only reason I'm bringing it up, yeah, we are getting close, aren't we? The only reason why I'm bringing it up is this, it's becoming a lot more trending to talk about UBI, right? Universal Basic Income, which will affect the price of gold, especially if the U.S. adopts that. And I do think that we're headed towards that in Canada. I think it's almost unavoidable at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the Conservatives have their own spin on that, right? So that's my reason for seeing more inflation. I think there'll be a lot more money printing and handing out of money, which is inflationary.
It's very inflationary. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have
Money-
any comments on that, go for it.
You know, it's I'm a builder, so you know I like to create things and receive payment for what I build and do.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that you know a universal income or guaranteed income is needed. There
Right.
are some people that in the social safety net. So, you know, am I going to take a position on that right now? No, I haven't really given it enough thought right now. I know I pay my fair share of taxes towards it,
Yeah.
and will continue to do that. But that would be very inflationary. You know, we already have a challenged healthcare system which needs capital very badly.
Yeah, it does.
Our education system in the Yukon, we need to pay our teachers more. Like I have
To get people up there, to get more people up there, or
all
just
across Canada,
Okay,
even
got
in
it.
Vancouver here, teachers that don't get paid enough for the work that they do. And I look at my daughter's school and the effort that the teachers put in, and then I look at what they get paid, and I'm like, you guys put in so much energy for this. And same with our nurses and our doctors.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to pay them more. Wages
Sure.
There's going to be pressure on wages, and there's in the aging out of our sector, in the mining sector, huge number of people over 65, many who are type A, passionate, not likely to retire anytime soon.
Yeah.
But there are many that are going to, and we haven't replaced at the bottom level, the entry level. And it's not even that the people aren't there, it's that they haven't got the experience they need yet
To replace them.
To replace them.
Yeah.
You can bring people in, but then there's the experience factor to actually do a good job running a company and know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be as much a problem, and there's competition between sectors for the limited number of people that we have.
Yeah.
So that's going to be inflationary as well. As even looking at what you have to offer people to get them to come work for you, that's up a lot. Even
Yeah.
new graduates.
Yeah.
So
There was some pretty interesting stuff that happened in the repo market last week, where there was there's these mini banking crises that keep happening, right? And then things are happening. It's not hitting the mainstream media yet, but there is a lot of stuff going on. So I think rates will pull back as we get a lot more bad economic news, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But then after that, if you have more inflation, I mean, how do rates not kind of creep back up? So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, and I think, look at power costs are going to go up. We don't have enough green power sources in Canada or across the world for all this electrification.
Right.
Did you see Avis was selling off 200,000 electric cars because they're too expensive to maintain? And so, I think there's this, consumers have been driven to things because of policy decisions, which we haven't got the infrastructure to support.
Right.
And that's going to be inflationary as well, because all those are going to be replaced.
Yeah.
It's costing more for vehicles than people anticipated. It's a really interesting dynamic right now.
It is, and then we have. I don't know if we had or have. I think we have right now rolling blackouts still in Alberta because of their temperatures.
Yep.
So we're actually hosting a talk. I think it's going to be in April, and it's how green is green. It's an interesting conversation.
No, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's one we have too. Like we were talking about, we wouldn't buy an all-electric vehicle because we do lots of northern British Columbia, Yukon travel where there is not the power infrastructure.
That's right.
And even in the Yukon, I don't think you should plug in an electric car because there's not enough power in the grid, and they're burning diesel to power your electric car, which the conversion that just doesn't make sense. So, we'd buy an EV. Right now, we have a perfectly good vehicle that is a gas-burning vehicle.
Yeah.
But it's but that's also wasteful too, to get rid of a perfectly good because it's a few years old.
Yeah.
And
like a gas vehicle.
a gas vehicle. It's a
newer
great
gas
vehicle. We don't, if
Yeah.
it's within 10 years, do you really need to replace it? Because that's just adding more waste.
Sure.
Is it going to be recycled? Probably not. So, great. I think there's some really interesting conversations we're going to have as society.
That we need to have.
We need to have,
Yeah. Well, listen, I think this has been a fantastic interview. We're coming up to 25 minutes. And again, so we will I'll put the date in here to talk about Banyan and only focused on Banyan.
Great.
But I wanted people to get more of a feel for you and who you are and stuff
Great.
like that. And I think we've done that today.
Great.
So I want to say
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl.
And stay tuned for the date, and we'll see you at the webinar.
Great. Thanks for the lift.